Okay, I did complete a couple of these little Strathmore Journal, the 400 series. It's my favorite size because when I sit down at the end of the day, and I sit a lot during the day too, but when I sit down at the end of the day and I want to sketch something, I pick up my little Strathmore Journal. And I've decided that because I have so many started that aren't finished, and to show me which ones are finished, I'm putting something on the spine somehow to say, okay, you can put that in your shelf and you don't have to worry about it anymore. So I have two of these little ones that I completed. This one I started in 2013. This may have been one of the faces in drawing faces. There's several classes that do this. So if you're looking for support or a place to show your pictures, there's several challenges of just doing faces. And again, because I didn't know how thick the paper was, I didn't want to paint. A lot of this has drawings on the front, paper on the back, but then I think I realized it doesn't matter if it goes through. This one I did at the end of 2013. It probably had a little bit of paint on the background, and then I used color pencils over the top. Another one that I did for some group that I did. And these, as you can see, were 2013. Not happy with the facial expressions or what I've done, but it's, and this isn't even where I started. Someone asked, can you put up pictures of when you started? Because you've really come a long way, which makes me think, yeah, those first pictures were really, really bad. So I may eventually show some of the ones that how I started, because they're pretty ugly. This one was a really fun one because it had bright colors. Again, it was a pretty little face. So, you know, I like cutesy. I'm not good at whimsy, but I do like cutesy. So I enjoy doing this one. This one is just colored pencils on white paper. And then I used some of the water-soluble crayons to do a background, because this is one of the lessons. It isn't a lesson that we did in Lifebook, but it's a technique that we learned in Lifebook, where you just use the charcoal, or not charcoal, graphite, you sketch out your picture, and then just add a touch of color. So I thought that was a fun way to do a portrait. Another one, I sketched out, did colored pencils, and then I made a few mistakes, so I think I added watercolor on top to, you know, kind of blend and cover up whatever mistakes. The same thing with this one. I did it all in colored pencil, but then I wanted to blend that face a little bit more, so I used watercolors over the top of colored pencil. And then this started in 2014 using colored pencils over the painted background again. And I'm not sure, I think that's probably when I started. Here's another one from 2013 though. This was just in a newspaper, and I was trying to practice profiles, which, as I said before, are really, really difficult for me to do. This little redhead again was the end of 2013. It was number 13 of 40. I think it's Gritty Jeans 40 Portraits, which is an ongoing group, as many of these are. Once you start the group, there's one of 100 faces. There's many of them, and once you start, you can just continue with whichever ones you're working in. This one I kept very light, tried to make it just as delicate as I could, using only the graphite pencil and then adding a tiny bit of color in the hair, the eyes, the lips, and cheeks. Then these are my go-to easy, just get a pencil, start sketching, and then blend it with the tortilla. Not great work, but it's fun, it's quick, it's easy. Same thing, just graphite. This one, it was number 4 in one of the challenges, And I just had a scrap piece of paper, so I sketched her out, and then I brought her home, cut out the paper, and added some pencil and ink to kind of gussy her up a little bit. This one, I don't know if you can tell at all who that is, but I remember it was a picture of Lady Gaga leaning back on something and doing her "I'm so sexy I can't even stand myself" picture, and I liked it, so I tried to draw it. This one is from a model in a magazine, I believe a makeup magazine, and I thought she was strikingly beautiful. This one is another magazine photo. This one is of a friend, a sweet, sweet friend on Facebook, who said, "Can you draw me?" And I said, "I don't know, I will try." And so I sketched her, and she said she was pleased. I hope she was. This one was when Shirley Temple passed away, and I found a little picture of her online when she was a small girl and sketched her just in pencil. This is another Lady Gaga pose, same magazine, I believe. Proportions I can tell are off, but it's practice. That's what we do in our journals. We practice. Another just graphite on white paper, graphite on white paper, graphite, graphite. And this one was a magazine. This one was, I believe, one of the hairstyle magazines, because people don't normally wear their hair, sticking in a lot of different directions, but that's how hairstylists get their name out there. They have to do something unusual, something new, something, that isn't being worn at the time to get their clientele. So she has shaggy little hair going this way, that way, and around the front and over to the side and hanging out here, and it just looks cool. She'd probably need a ton of hairspray to keep it that way, and, but it's fun to draw something like that. This is another one that somebody asked me, I believe. It's a Facebook friend, and she asked, I believe she asked me to draw her. I'm not sure, but I'm not naming names of anybody, but she's a very sweet, sweet lady. This one is just a pencil drawing from a magazine, and again, the flowy hair always catches my eye and always makes me think, I want to draw that one. Here's another sultry lady with fancy hair. And this one, she looks like she's daydreaming. She was in a magazine. I'm sure she was, and they were selling something, and I don't have any idea what it was. But I just like the pose and the hairstyle. And it's just graphite on white paper. Again, a magazine ad. This young girl, I'm sure it was selling clothing. She had a hoodie on, and I thought that would be fun to draw. This one, a magazine picture, not a hairstyle magazine, but just a magazine. But again, that wild hair going this way and curling that way, and that always, to me, that the eyes on the hair is what makes it fun to draw. So I always look for something that has unusual hair, and then I like to play up the eyes a little bit. Another kind of different pose. It's not a profile, but it's not a straight on, and trying to learn different ways of drawing things. This one, again, in a fashion magazine. She was some kind of a model selling clothing. Another, this was a girl on the beach, all sunny and with the hair flowing across her face. This one was in the hairstyling magazine. Again, just a short bobbed cut, but it's a profile, and so doing the mouth and nose is very difficult for me, but definitely where I need to practice. This one, I just looked at her and she looks like she's got really pouty big lips. This one, another really fun hairstyle, which is short and sassy and springs out everywhere. She's a model, so she's got a very simple, cute face, and fun hair. Another one that had huge dimples, wide cheeks, a pretty mouth, and short sassy hair, and she was wearing something lacy. This one was just a pose in a magazine that I tried to do, and I don't think I was very successful at it, adding the hands and the legs. She was very thin. She was sitting on her little rump over here, and she was bent down, and I tried to capture what this section of her looked like. This one is another sultry. It wasn't a hair magazine, but it was just in a magazine ad. This one was the hair magazine. Another, you know, upswept, bobbed cut, and a full face picture. This one, I don't know where she came from, just a magazine, not a model, just an ad. Same thing with this one. It was an ad for, it could have been deodorant, I don't even know, but not an actress. I don't even know if she was a model, but, you know, it was an ad for something. This is an old picture that I found. Can't even remember her name. That's the bad thing about being old. You can't remember. But it was an actress back in the day, Farrah Fawcett. And that's when she had the Farrah Fawcett hair, and everybody, you know, went crazy for her. And she really was beautiful. And, you know, gone too soon. Here's another model. It was just a pretty face with long, simple hair. Here's another sassy little hairdo that, you know, it's business in the front, party in the back, or whatever they called mohawks. This isn't a mohawk. It's not a mullet. It's just I'm going to be different, and I hope you don't mind, because that's how I'm going to wear my hair today. This one, bangs were really in for a while, and the long bangs where you couldn't see the eyes. And I did several of these because there was a lot of them in the magazines, not necessarily the hairdo magazines, but just regular magazines. And as I said, we always have to do one upside down, or our journal, you know, we can't be too perfect. So this is another one of the bangs. I shortened hers a little bit so she could see, because I felt bad for her. You know, if you can't see, it's got to be a hazard. But that's just graphite on the white paper. Another bangs, but she decided, I'm going to cut the rest of my hair off, and I'm just going to have this bowl cut on top. But don't I look pretty? And yeah, kind of she does. I mean, when you have that face with the square jaws and the perfect big lips and the little nose, you can pretty much do whatever you want with your hair. And she chose to do the Moe of the Three Stooges cut for her. This was in a fashion magazine. It's obviously a geisha girl with the full makeup, so I tried to keep it as white as I could on the paper and just use a little graphite and color the lips and the eyes and her red scarf or kimono, whatever she was wearing. Another one of the hair color magazines where it was blue and purple and shiny, and they dressed her up to match her hair, and her eyeshadow was glistening and shiny. Another profile shot. I think I did okay on this one because it's not a full profile, but those are, again, really, really hard for me to do. This is another tilted face, but not a profile. As I look at it, I can see that that part of the lip to me is not where it should be, but she had her fancy haircut and she's being coy. This one was actually an instructor in one of the classes, and as I was watching the class on the video, I sketched her. Don't know her name, but she taught one of the classes last year that I had taken. This one, I believe, again, I think she was in the Hairstyling magazine. If not, she was just styled beautifully. She had the bangs, she had the turtleneck, and I tried to keep it minimum colors, just adding highlights to the cheek, the eyes, the mouth, and then showing all the detail in her hair. This is another hair model, curly, wavy